In March 2020, as you will all know, the United Kingdom entered the first of an ongoing series of waves of coronavirus and sequences of lockdown and restriction of activities. And that has affected all of us. It's affected us physically, it's affected us emotionally, it's affected us spiritually, it's affected our relationships, it's forced us to rethink some of the things we thought were secure in the world in which we live. We've been confronted during this time very painfully and very bluntly by issues of injustice in the world, just issues of race, issues of ecology, issues around the fundamental unfairness of so much of the beautiful world that we live in, and the way that we are going about not doing very well at living in it together. I've had a lot to think about, and I'm sure you have too. Our patterns have been broken. We haven't been able to attend church as we usually did. We haven't been able to go about our activities in the way that we did, perhaps without thinking about them very much at times, because they were just part of the way we went about doing things around here, being ourselves and taking part in our community's lives, and particularly the church's life. But I know from lots of conversation with folk in my congregations that the interruption of coronavirus has given people a lot of space to think and time to reflect. And we've realized, many of us, that some of the things we did and some of the ways we did them, but more importantly, some of the ways we understood them to be important or valuable, that those are now in question. Not because we're suspicious of what we were before, but because we've just realized that maybe the things we've thought were at the center of things and most important in our life maybe aren't. The way we've understood ourselves, the way we've thought about what mission means and welcome means and inclusion means, the way we've thought about what the church is and is for and what comes first within it, those things are not as clear anymore. Some time ago in the autumn, I was at a webinar, as many of us have been, and I was introduced in a conversation between someone and the author, one of the authors of this book, to this book, a book called Being Interrupted, a book by Al Barrett and Ruth Harley, who are both Anglicans, one an ordained priest and the other an ordinand at the time of writing. But a book that hasn't been written about coronavirus, but was written before it, fundamentally asking us to engage with the world as it is, to be honest about our place within it as largely privileged white people in the United Kingdom, and then specifically in a series of studies of some of the encounters Jesus has in Mark's Gospel and in a number of stories that are part of the church's life being interrupted, helpfully, creatively, even though at the time it may not have felt like that. We have an incredible resource. I mentioned it at staff meeting as we were gathering once, just informally. A number of people bought it and were so gripped by it that we decided together as a staff team across the circuit, those who wanted to, we would meet every couple of weeks online, and we would study this book. We would let it study us. We would chew it over and let it digest. Let it affect us. Let it change us. Let it move us in the ways that it was doing individually. It's an important book. It might be the most important book that we could be reading as a church right now. I say that because God is on the move, as God always is, and calls forth from us a willingness to be on the move with God. We know that our church is in decline. We know that we, with our best attempts at reinvigorating our worship, changing times, changing styles, the things we've done to try and help our church to be relevant and to grow, those things usually don't work. And so what we need is perhaps not a new program, but a new way of seeing our place in the world. A new way of imagining what the church could be as an ally and alongside a local community, rather than many of the forms that our church takes. Proclaiming something in a community's life, offering a community space. None of those things are unimportant, but perhaps there's work to do. There's work to do. And so I want to offer as I have said to the circuit staff I will, as part of us thinking about how we have this book become part of our circuits conversation. I want to offer, and will be offering in the autumn, beginning in September, 8 sessions that will help anyone who wants to spend some time with others who also want to chew over the contents of this book and have it affect them, have it enrage them, have it inspire them, have it be what it has been for us as a circuit team. A humbling, helpful, creative, challenging read that has left us as a staff team feeling not quite the same people we were before we started reading it together. So details will follow about when those dates will be. My plan is to have those dates be on Sunday evenings. So Sunday evenings pretty much every other week from September through the end of November. And for that to be in place of evening worship. So for a couple of hours, probably from about 7 until 9 in the evening, and for it to be open to anyone in the circuit. And it will be online. It will be online. So that as many can join as possible without us all needing to drive or commute into a central place. It's a first go at reading this book together, and hopefully out of those meetings we'll use some recordings of those meetings to create a resource that can be used locally in local churches or by individuals who want to read the book on their own and still listen in on a conversation that others are having around how the book has affected them. Can I commend it to you? Can I ask you to think about buying a copy soon and reading it? Can I ask you to maybe do that and stick with it, because the first few chapters are deeply uncomfortable reading for many of us, and should be so perhaps. And can I ask you to think seriously about part of your discipleship as the church unlocks again and we begin to journey together back into whatever life will look and feel like. That maybe reading this book together with others will be one of the most important things and significant things that you and I do together, or that you do for yourself in your local church, and your faith and your understanding of what it is that God is asking us to be at this moment in our life as a church in this place. If you have any questions about the book or about the study, then please be in touch. You will see at the end of the video there is a screen with the dates of the meetings that will happen, and also some information about where you could purchase the book immediately. But I commend it to you, and I hope to have some good conversation about how we might start reading it together.